Hey there, welcome to the... I'm actually leaving that in. That will make sense to me after I edit this, but I always say production by a street, and I'm never sure if that was, if some of the sounds are audible, but I've actually checked. So the beginning, right at the beginning, the perils of recording in the afternoon when cars are driving. So yeah, this is today's episode of Coffee Solo. It's been a while. It's been since June 7. So it's been 2 weeks and a day, which is why the title, Back from Vacation, will hopefully answer that question. Not a real vacation. We'll get to that in a second. But today is June 22nd, 2026. It's Monday. We're recording this at 3:03 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time here in Greater Vegas. I am Dan Hugo, as usual. And yeah, that makes this episode 20, so 20, 26, 06, 2201. It's been a while, so I'll remind you. This is the, excuse me. This is the, what is it called? It's the serial number format for DNS record entries. It can also be many other things. So it's the year, 4 digits of year, 2 digits of month, 2 digits of date in the month, and then an integer, 01, 02, 03. We've only once or twice, I think twice, had a 02. My plan is eventually to just do more short or shorter, more brief, and then maybe a couple times during the day or something. So we'll see. We'll see what this program evolves into. But I did just not record an episode for 2 weeks. Nothing in particular. Just every time I would think, oh, I should, and then I would fall asleep or do other things. So, and that's the whole point of the no schedule. Like, it wasn't anything, there was nothing that came up that I said, oh my goodness. So, yeah. Anyway, as usual, you are either finding this on the Ko-fi.com platform. We'll get to that in the links, or you're finding it out in the rest of the places where you find audio programs. So thanks for that. And yeah, the car zooming by. So every time, as I said, every time that happens while I'm recording, it's usually in the middle of the show. It's never right at the beginning. So that's the only reason I was like, I'm going to grab this. So in the middle of the show or towards the, whenever, it'll be sort of audible, not really sure. It's while I'm talking. And sorry if I'm thirsty. And if you hear me swallowing, sorry. It is super hot. We're going to talk about that. I mean, it's not ridiculous hot, but it's hot. It's hot. And so in the interest of a high quality recording, if I hear a noise, if something is making noise and I can remove it, that's great. So I'm never quite sure if the car zooming by is quite audible. I mean, it kind of moves the VU meter. So it's picked up, but how loud is it going to be and so on. But yeah, this was right at the beginning. It was very obviously very loud, very. So the other sources of noise, I have a ceiling fan. I have two actually. Those, and I'm not really sure because they are kind of noisy, but it's like an outsized impact. So I'm not sure if there's like an inductive loop happening and it picks up through the power, the electrical wiring of my space here. And so it really has a kind of a hum happening. That's why I'm suspicious. Either way, it makes a lot of noise. So I don't have ceiling fans on. This is more of a factor in the warmer months. And then I turn the air conditioner off because similarly, it's not a hum, but it's more of a white noise effect. And I do apply a noise filter, which works pretty well. So fun fact, I record 10 seconds of ambient silence. So that picks up anything in the noise floor through the microphone and all that. Then I start talking, and then a car goes by sometimes. So by doing that, I set a noise sample region that is basically the room, and then I can filter that out. So I think it works pretty well. And then I truncate silence, and you get what you get. So if I can remove the air conditioner itself, if I left the air conditioner on and it was on for the duration of a show, which I'm never really quite sure how long the show will be, that would probably be filterable, but it's just easier to turn it off. So that's what I do. But it is getting warm. I have southern exposure, which in Nevada is like stepping into an oven. So it always gets warm here, and it's been warm. It's been warmer than I remember in previous years. So something to talk about soon. First, we'll say yes, we're back from vacation. Hopefully, wherever you found this audio program, you're able to locate the episode description, which contains the show notes, including a brief summary, which I'll read to you, and then the show links. There you go. I have that memorized. The summary, more like a staycation, and really more like a catching up with falling behind. Maybe a couple of other things. I usually keep the summaries pretty brief here on this program because I'm never really sure what I'm going to be talking about. Also, this program, I tend to not stay in a good microphone position. So if I'm fading in and out, it's because I'm moving around a little bit more. Anyway, the links, I've mentioned this before. I don't really add episodic links, like links to a news story or something. I think I did that once. Mostly this is more casual. It's not really researched. I guess if I do refer to something specific, it would come in handy, especially down the road, like posterity could find out what I'm talking about because no links on the internet ever break. But in the meantime, remember this program is available first on Ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/danhugo/posts. I've had the Ko-fi.com profile for 5 years, same as Buy Me a Coffee. I don't think Ko-fi.com has... You can hear that, right? I don't think, if not, great, maybe it got filtered out. I don't think Ko-fi.com has the same feature set, probably on purpose, as Buy Me a Coffee. So I don't really sell merchandise. I guess I could put it on a... Well, I put the links on my websites. Not one single person has ever clicked on them. So I guess if I launch any sort of software projects or something, maybe. But I also have a Stripe account. So it depends. I don't know. But again, I've had the two platforms for 5 years. So why not? Why not put them to use in some way? The Coffee Solo homepage is my own vanity website. So I've been talking about this for way too long, like months and months, because I'm honestly, so here's the deal. I'm going to say, this isn't even in my outline. And my outline is literally 5 bullet items, 5 sentences. So I just have like the 3-year plan. That's the second bullet item. So I haven't really detailed anything, but I've talked about this in other contexts, the cognitive load thing. So it turns out, so here's the deal. I'm a software engineer. I'm the managing director of a public charity, Innovate for Vegas Foundation. Been trying to find board members. I create I write the script, I guess you could say. They're bullet items. I mix between writing down exactly what I want to say, and then ideas. I fill in the blanks a lot. And it turns out when you're writing like that, when you know you're going to be speaking it and you have the leeway to move a word around, or if you find a typo, you just fix it and so on. So that's one thing. Then I added these newsletters, and the newsletters are writing a complete thought that someone else will read. So I don't get to like improvise my sort of what's on my mind. I can't look at my notes and say, oh, this is what I was thinking, and I'm going to phrase it like this, and so on. So the joy of writing to be read rather than to be heard. So what that means is that adding these newsletters has really thrown in some extra, what's called a cognitive load. So every time you have to switch, like humans are not good at multitasking. It's true. So every time you have to switch, there's like a delay. Now, some people can pretend to multitask. Great. But in reality, humans need to sort of reset their brain a little bit. Like, oh, okay, now I'm not saying you gotta, like, oh, I'm reading one page and then I gotta, the second page of or another page of something else is going to throw me for a loop. Like reading and reading, okay. That's maybe whether you're good at keeping track of, and truth be known, women are better at keeping track of listening to two conversations at one time. You can make your own jokes. So if there's somebody talking, like you're talking to somebody, but somebody behind you is talking, women are more capable, apparently, generally, not specifically, but generally more capable of tracking both conversations. So in that way, okay, multitasking. But when you have to do different things, so I need to switch between authoring for speaking, authoring for reading, actually speaking to record the episodes. Then I do the artwork with some help from AI. Yes. I'm not necessarily proud of it, but sometimes I have some good ideas and the AI helps. But yeah, so the visual creativity, the audio content creation, the writing of notes and scripts for the speaking, and then for the reading in the newsletter case, and then any notion of doing any sort of technical development like coding and whatnot. So these are all context switches of sorts. So it's a lot of cognitive load to switch. And I've done how many? I think four episodes of each newsletter, I think it is. Let me see if I can find them. Yeah. So so I've written 12 episodes, 12 issues, 3 separate newsletters, 4 issues each. And that has turned out to be, I mean, it's not hard, but I do spend time on them. And then after they get emailed out, LinkedIn mails them to people. I think it's the partial, like if you want to continue reading, click here and read it on the site. Okay, fine. I'm not a fan of LinkedIn still, but I'll find typos and errors. I'm like, if there's a typo or an error in the email, you'll just go visit on the website. It will probably have been fixed. So I send them off and then I invariably reread it later. And there you go. So that's been tedious and tiring. And I will determine over the next 3, I'm on the fence about, so this will be episode. It'll be issue 5 for each. By the way, those are Innovate for Vegas News, Smart City News, and Cafe Genius News. So if you're connected to me on LinkedIn, you can locate them pretty easily. If you're not, I think the link is on my, do I have a link on my Buy Me a Coffee page? Let's find out. LinkedIn? Oh, I don't have that on there. I'll add it. I don't like LinkedIn, so I'm trying not to have people contact me there. That's weird. I'm sure it's in my bio. I have a old bio.link link, and I'm sure it's on there, but I'll add it here directly. Let's see. Edit. I was going to talk about this anyway, so yeah, I just went through and I'm going to check and see if I want to add anything else. What else is missing here? So for example, this LinkedIn profile. Okay, linkedin.com in Dan Hugo. So that's me. It's always a nice place to be. So you can check that out. And if you're interested in those newsletters, have at it. I reshare every time a newsletter sends. It posts on the relevant page, the Innovate for Vegas Foundation page, the Smart City Vegas page, Cafe Genius page. So it sends them out and then it has a post, and then I reshare that to any random person who might say, oh, look, Dan posted something, because I really don't post anything on LinkedIn anymore for myself. I'm kind of tired. I've been on LinkedIn. I signed up for LinkedIn. They launched in May of 2003, and I signed up in August of 2003. And that website is garbage. So I'm not embarrassed, but I'm like, I don't know about this newsletter stuff. So the Innovate for Vegas Foundation newsletter has a okay, I think it's 220 some subscribers so far. In 4 weeks, that's like, we have 1,000 followers of the page. Follow and forget is the LinkedIn way, so it's not really worthwhile. I mean, you can't really make a comparison. You got to have thousands of followers before it even matters. And then Smart City Vegas has 82, maybe 80 some followers. Sorry, 80 some subscribers on, I think it's 270 followers, something like that. And then the LinkedIn page for Cafe Genius has 175 maybe followers. And I want to say 19 subscribers to the newsletter. And the open rate on the newsletter was like less than half. Now, 20% is good. 25% on the high end of good. But, so yeah, getting 50% would be amazing in general. But, I don't think that counts when you don't have 20 subscribers. And we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I was going to give it till the Cafe Genius newsletter. I will give until like the end of July. And we'll see where we are. The Smart City Vegas newsletter may or may not be worthwhile at all. I've been trying to reach out to teachers. I'll get to that. Let me wait. So let's get on the outline. So we did the Coffee Solo homepage, danhugo.com. It doesn't have its own page, just like Buy Me a Coffee, Buy Me an Update from Buy Me a Coffee. And both of the, I know I totally switched topics, but we'll get back into it. Both of these, I created a program that was named for the platform on which I would publish it exclusively. But nobody goes to Ko-fi.com nor to buymeacoffee.com for podcast episodes. So I publish it there first so that there's content. That is the magic word, right? So I have activity every week on Buy Me a Coffee and whenever on Ko-fi.com. And then I publish them through Spotify for Creators, which is another platform that I'm like, I still have to make that the secondary. And then they appear on the danhugo.com homepage. I have to make all these look nicer. They're all very ugly. They're all barely functional. I don't really get a lot of web traffic. So you're getting a sense that I'm like, if I don't get any traffic, I'm not going to worry about it. And that's probably true. So now we're on the outline. So the engagement on LinkedIn has just been atrocious, and it's been very frustrating. And I'll tell you why. But first, I'm going to tell you that yesterday was my birthday. So no celebration, no recognition, just a fact. I really don't. What's his name? Patton Oswalt had a theory that after your 21st birthday, you should only celebrate on the decades. So 30, 40, 50, 60, and so on. So I think that's not a bad idea. And so that's all I have to say about that. It is on the first day of summer. So usually that gets all the attention, which is fine. So the newsletters I already mentioned have really been taking it out of me. So like I said, I've written 12 of them. I don't just write, hey, how's it going? So last week on Friday, I published a somewhat lengthy first look at a 3-year strategy plan, which I'll get to in the second bullet item. The 3-year, what is it? I think it's I can't remember what the title of it is. I think it's the 3-year strategy plan for Las Vegas. And it's about the economic diversity plan of the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance. To me, 3 years is barely enough time to think about what you're going to try to accomplish. 5 years would be too short, but it would still be a little bit more reasonable. They're talking about bringing in industries in the first year, and the year started already. So it started in June now. They have 3 tiers, right? So near term, midterm, long term. And long term is 3 years from, or 2 years from now, starting 2 years from now. So it seems impossible to me. But I wrote my first look. I went through the page. It's like 30 some pages. The normal, I mean, the real content is about 30. And it's not 30 pages of like single space text or anything. It's got some illustrations and whatnot. So we'll call it 30. It's probably more like 27 or something like this. But I mean, there's some text. So I read through it, found a couple of things that were kind of, like one thing they didn't finish a sentence. So they're like, and we are, something like that. Like, we are what? We want to know. But other things were like some hand waving. The word water appears 12 times in the document, 3 times in job titles of people that were on the what do they call it? The stakeholder contributors. I don't remember them surveying the general population. So that's going to be an issue that I did bring up in my review. But the water, water turned up 9 times otherwise, mostly as sort of advisory, like we have to be aware of water constraints and so on. What I don't think they did sufficiently was to point out any of the focus areas in their key industries, the targets that they want to have come to Vegas to diversify our economy. They didn't really highlight what the risks were with water and power. And my point of that was there is literal, like the, the negotiated water rights for the Colorado River between many states. I think it's Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, I think New Mexico, California, and some indigenous people, so tribes on reservations or wherever, and then some other places. So there's a lot of people in this negotiation. Apparently it's been contentious. So there's the Lake Mead Reservoir, which is where Vegas gets its water from, is already substantially below what it should be. That's been true for a while. And now we didn't have much snow for winter of 2024 into 25. So we didn't have any snow melt, which means and Nevada like is a leading water sustainability research and implementation area. So they don't mess around. So they've been doing pretty good, but there was really nowhere near enough snow melt. So the levels of the reservoir remain low. The water rights contention is going to be a problem for Arizona and Nevada, at least. There's no snow, not enough. There's nowhere near enough snow projected for the next winter, probably for the winter after that. So we're going to see reduced snow melt for 3 years in a row. That'll put us into year 2 of the plan. And then as the water level in Lake Mead continues to fall, the ability to generate energy, power, electricity from the Hoover Dam will also reduce. So we're looking at like a 40% reduction in water availability. And then when we hit the point where you can't generate electricity, it's going to be dire. Okay. So sorry, my eye is itching. So the point I made is they literally, and it's in all the news, it's not like they didn't hear about this. They literally have a 3-year projection to go along with this 3-year plan that says there's going to be substantially less water available, which may lead to power reductions. And then you have people like, oh, we want to build a data center. We want to invite all kinds of new companies in. We want to have more people move here. We want to increase the population. And you're like, do you guys read? Do you ever do any math? Like water, if the amount of water is less than the amount of water you need, that's negative. That's a negative number. So it sort of boggles the mind, but it'll be an interesting thing to watch for the next 3 years. So that's something we're planning on putting together for the Cafe Genius project. If I can get people to join the Genius Roundtable, we can actually start moving ahead on some of the analysis. In my view, they're really, so the what do you call it? Stakeholder contributors is all the people with the halos on. It's all warm introductions, and it's people who know each other. It's people who have been around and their established reputations and all that. So, okay. The industries are, so the key thing that they write it like this, and I understand what they're trying to say, but what they say is they want the percentage of wages that go to leisure and hospitality jobs to fall below 25% over the next 3 years. Now, if you're only looking at that, sorry, I'm like, I gotta drink more. There are 2 ways to do that. You either increase the number of people making non-leisure and hospitality job wages. That could be new people who move to the area. It could be students who matriculate into the workforce. And it could be people who have existing jobs in hospitality and leisure who change to higher wage jobs. Okay. The other option, so that's one way, is you increase the number of people making more money. Okay. So that reduces the percentage of people making leisure and hospitality money and tips. Then the other way is to simply reduce the number of people being paid those lower wages. So you can start pricing people out. Gentrification will start to take place. You can continue this trend of lower tourism, lower visitor counts, which will then lead to more layoffs. In parallel with this, both Caesars and MGM properties were both sold, I think within 2 weeks of each other. It might even have been within a week. Both sold to private entities. I don't know the names, and I'm not really following that stuff. But suffice to say, they're no longer public companies, so they don't have to report their quarterlies. There's no more shareholder phone calls. There's no more transparency of being a public company. So these two different entities that own these two, and it's not just that they bought Caesars and MGM. Each of them has substantial holdings on the Strip, elsewhere in Nevada, elsewhere not in Nevada. So they can make any decisions they want about where they're going to spend money, where they're going to look more closely at headcount in their workforces and so on. So there must be laps going on here. I'm sure you heard that. So, and the LVGEA has no connection to the tourism industry here. That's not what they do. But it is odd that they've come out with a 3-year plan, not a 5-year plan, not a 10-year plan. A 10-year plan for a city is more normal, but that's more for like zoning and planning and all kinds of other stuff. A 5-year plan seems like it would have been a little bit more sane. A 3-year plan to me is, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking, but they published it and I went through it. So the key industries are nothing too amazing. I think amazing. Manufacturing, they call it advanced manufacturing. Okay, I think that's an opportunity to innovate in sustainable manufacturing. So you don't actually need water and electricity because we won't have any. So if they can come up with improved manufacturing processes, great. If they're thinking they're going to start doing silicon fab construction in Vegas, no, fabs use a tremendous amount of water and they pollute that water. So hopefully they don't have their heads there. So advanced manufacturing, fintech, financial tech. There's no reason for that to be in Nevada, but there's no reason for it to not be either. So those are office buildings. Great. Sure. Media, entertainment, and so on. That's the Hollywood 2.0 stuff. I'm not looking at the document right now. I'm going from memory. Yeah, I don't know where that's going to go. It's already kind of fallen flat a couple of times trying to get through our state government. Technology, that's a big umbrella term. They really spent no time trying to detail what they were talking about. There's an assumption that there's going to be AI jobs just growing on trees, which we don't have trees growing here, so that'll be fun. But software and technology, I think, is what they just go, yeah, there's plenty of possibilities there. So the first year is just whatever, and then they'll see what happens. Healthcare is like the second fastest growing or second most lucrative or something. So gaming, hospitality, the fun economy, trademark, is like, I think it's number one, but I've heard, it depends on who you ask, whether it's like in the top 3, and it kind of depends. But so what am I thinking? Okay, so it's gaming, anything fun economy. Excuse me, hang on. Okay, anything gaming, gambling, entertainment, like residences, shows, like celebrity residences, right? Like, I don't even know who's here lately. Professional sports is a new and upcoming element. Tourism in general, so people just coming here to hang out and visit and sightsee and go hiking. And then convention, trade show, etc. So those are all fine. What's going to happen when you... Oh, so that's fun economy. Healthcare is another one. And then the third one, I think, is like... It might be manufacturing. It's either manufacturing or warehousing, or it might actually be customer service. Like Amazon and Google have a strong presence there. So I can't remember which one. Amazon has warehouses here and so on. So the third one might be in there. Then there's some lithium battery stuff that's up and coming. The real lithium mines are up in the north. at the McDermott caldera. So what's going to happen over the next 3 years if they grow those industries that are not in the fun economy? Will it gentrify this place if people relocate here, and will it have an impact on the fun economy, which is already having some issues? But at the same time, so much money is being spent on the fun economy infrastructure. Like, what is the plan? And this is why I always say there's no coherent plan, no cohesive messaging. So that was an interesting, I spent a few days going through that, looking around, doing some research. And this is why that takes time. So that was a long path. We're still looking for board members, believe it or not. I have 8 days to find. It looks like I have one board member that will join, and then I need one more. I really wish I could find someone in Vegas, but I'm really starting to feel adversarial towards the people of Vegas, at least the ones on LinkedIn. They really, really, really don't want to be helpful. So that's been super frustrating. But those are the sorts of things that said, don't forget to do an issue of Coffee Solo. And I'm like, huh? I don't even know what to talk about right now. So yeah, took a little break. The 3-year plan is the second bullet item here. Like I said, it's going to be crazy. I think, well, the third bullet is website plans. One of the things that I've been talking about forever is a transparency notion that, hang on a second. Okay. That a smart city, which Vegas thinks it is, so we'll let it think that, a smart city should be more able to communicate with the people that live there. So the 3-year plan, if someone reads it, how did they find it? So my inkling is that most people won't pay attention because they just don't pay attention. Vegas is a place where you let someone else deal with it. To give you some sense, the Formula One race, nobody likes it here because it's just very disruptive. It costs people real money and loss of business, the ability to get around, to commute to work, and so on. It just is not. It's not a fun time unless you're in the select group of people who make money from it. And then it's like, ooh, it's great. So of course the county commission signed a 10-year deal, 10-year extension. Right? Sure, nobody wants it, so let's do it for 10 more years. The Switch, which is a data center company, they sort of pride themselves on being completely air cooled and very efficient data centers and so on. They've been in business. They bought the resources from Enron when Enron was in a little bit of trouble many years ago. Not a lot of people know this. They were doing Enron power, and then they were going to do the same shenanigans for internet access. So there was this whole infrastructure that they weren't able to take advantage of. So this guy named Rob Roy bought it up, like 10 cents on the dollar, built a company called Switch. And now they have Switch data center sites in various places around the world, I think. Certainly northern Nevada and some other places. But I think they're global now. So their big thing is air-cooled, triple redundant. They have a 100% uptime, not even 5 nines. So very nice. So they said, hey, we want to build another data center building. I want to say there's like 8 buildings at the Enterprise site, which is in south of Vegas, in the greater Vegas area, but it's in Clark County. It's in unincorporated Clark County. I think it's in Enterprise, if I remember correctly. Paradise, Enterprise, one of those. So people who lived near there, I guess, or in general, did not want that. And they expressed their opinion that we don't want this. And the county commission approved it, so they get to build it. So this is the mindset here. Like, oh, you don't want this? Well, too bad, you voted us in. See ya. And they do it anyway. So it'll be interesting to see what this 3-year plan entails, what unfolds, and then people will learn about it later. So I would like to see, and one of my suggestions in my review, in my critique, they committed to being transparent and having quarterly reports. I'm like, why don't you do it all the time? Quarterly, nobody's going to pay attention. Monthly, they pay attention to the LVCVA tourism numbers every month. They come out at the end of the month. That'll come out probably next Monday or Tuesday. If it's good news, it'll come out on Friday. If it's bad news, it'll come out on Tuesday, the 30th. So they got to keep up with that. Personally, I think they should have like a dashboard, and it's a PDF, of course, turn the published document into a living document where you're actually saying, okay, this is what we changed this week and this is what happened today. 2 more companies are moving here. Cost of living just went up 25%. Water availability just went down another 2%. Right. So actually correlate these events through the 3 years. Otherwise, it's just going to be at the end of 3 years, people are going to say, what is going on here? There's can't afford to live here. Can't buy groceries. But we have more healthcare, healthcare. Healthcare is one of the key industries. So it'll be interesting to see, but I just don't have high confidence, to be honest. So the website plans. So there's my personal websites, which I talk about every once in a while, which they honestly, the reason I don't spend much time on them is they're not there to make money. They're there as utility, but not for like sustaining my existence. So they're nice to have, unless there's some way that I can say, oh, okay, this does justify like cognitive load. But the Munibits plan, which is the open source project that we're working on with Innovate for Vegas Foundation, and when I say we, I mean me, that's a whole nother problem. So the In Las Vegas project is the commercial version of this stuff. So I would like to see, well, I mean, the reason it's designed like the naming is designed like this is so that we can have economy in Las Vegas, or economic diversity in Las Vegas, or something like this. And then you end up with a portal. Remember portals from the Yahoo days? They don't all have to be portals, but you could definitely see where a portal would make sense to keep track of what's changing in this economic diversity effort over the next 3 years. Because, and I've said, everybody got used to checking the old Power BI charts during the pandemic, right? How many people died yesterday? So you can do something not quite so macabre, but how many jobs have been created this month or this week? You could break it down week by week. You could break it down specific events. You could break it down by population change and per population changes. That's the way some math is done. Like, how many people moved here? Well, you take the number of people who moved here, you divide by the people who already lived here. That way you can scale by smaller places and larger places. I think it's kind of a sham, but just tell me how many people moved here. Don't divide by 680. And the reason that's a sham, some people say Las Vegas and they mean Las Vegas. So they'll divide 1,000 people moved to Las Vegas, divide by the present population of 680,000. I thought it was 580,000 last couple of days ago, but it's 680,000-ish. Could be as high as 690, but it's probably in the 680 something range. But if you say, oh, they moved to the Vegas area, but I'm just going to say Las Vegas, then you have to divide by 2.4 million, which is the population, the last time I looked, of Clark County. And nobody knows that they're in Vegas or not in Vegas. If they're somewhere in Clark County, they just assume they're in Vegas. That goes for the airport. It goes for the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. It goes for UNLV, which is not in Las Vegas. And the list goes on. So I just think there's going to be some hand waving and some shenanigans. So I would like to be, one of the elements of the In Las Vegas platform could be a transparent, relatively, I mean, if we can't get the information, it won't be, but whatever we can find so that people have, so there's some visibility. And then water in Las Vegas, right? It is very difficult to find out how much water there is available until it becomes a problem. Then they start reporting on it. And here's the deal. The reason a two-dimensional, like a web page, two-dimensional data presentation is more interesting than a one-dimensional news feed, right? Old, new. You report on the water levels are down 30%. Tomorrow, you're not going to see that. That's going to fall off the bottom of a news feed. It's going to fall off the front page and all this. But if you have one place where you can go, and the reason that there's a weather bug at the top of the news website's page, local news, etc., they're going to show you the today's weather, temperature, and sun, wind, rain, whatever. Okay, I can get that pretty much by going outside. I can look out the window and see if it's raining. I can open the window and say, oh, it feels a little warm today. It must be 110. What I cannot find every day is the amount of water left in the reservoir and how much trouble we're in. So if they only report on the stuff that you can see and feel, they don't report on the things that will be a huge problem when they get that bad. I think that's broken. So there's all kinds of innovation that I would like to pursue in this thing. That's why I sometimes think I don't really want to spend time on my personal websites. I have to design this other thing. So one of these days, everything will catch up like magic, and it'll be delightful. So I have here Buy Me a Coffee updates, but I just went through. I think I have to add one more thing. I'm not looking at the page at the moment, but I added the LinkedIn. Oh, I didn't add, the City Camp. I didn't talk about City Camp. City Camp is an effort to get, City Camp is not a thing that we invented. There's a website, citycamp.com. It's co-founded by by the original founder of Code for America. If you're familiar with that, if not, don't worry about it. What is with the muffler situation on the road near me? So City Camp is an effort to get people to come out of their shells, out of their homes, off their couches, and participate in civic innovation. Like, oh, this is a problem. I wish somebody would solve it. Well, why don't you participate in City Camp and come up with a way to solve it? And then we'll go from there. So that's preparation for Smarter Smart City Challenge, which I'm sure I'll talk about more. That's going to last all year in 2027. Yeah, I'll talk about that more somewhere else. So those are the two things, the LinkedIn, which I did add, and then Smart City Vegas website. So City Camp Las Vegas and Smarter Smart City Challenge. Okay, enough about that. So I had to give you my Buy Me a Coffee update on Coffee Solo, which is published on Ko-fi.com. I mentioned already, it does feel hotter right now. Now, okay, first of all, excuse me. When I first moved to Vegas in 2013, I came here and visited in the middle of July, and it was very hot. And there was the beginnings of some monsoon activity, which is the humidity and rain and lightning and all that. Moved here in August 1st, officially, 2013, and got the nice introduction to the monsoons. But I had lived in Phoenix, so I had already been through all this. But the hottest day of the year in Las Vegas is traditionally somewhere in the middle of July. And you can literally go to like weather history websites, and it shows like a little peak. So it's rising, peaks, July 15, 12, whatever. And then it just sort of slowly drops back down. And then you're into, heading off to autumn. So now we're getting like record-breaking temperatures 3 weeks early. And it just feels hot. It's very weird. I know it's very cliche to complain about the weather in a desert, but it is something. I mean, nobody's going to deny climate change, whatever you think about it. There's definitely what do they call it? A Godzilla? Is it Godzilla El Nino, or was it some other monster? So it's supposed to be an intense El Nino effect on the weather. We'll see what happens there. Just crazy. I think that's enough for a return from vacation. As always, I end with anything else, and nothing is jumping out at me. There's a lot of stuff with news coverage, which is getting really old. I've found just to not, like, I don't watch. You can get sucked into all the drama that's going on right now. There's drama. Let's not diminish the impact of the last 18 months. Is it? Yeah, 18 months as of 2 days ago. 18 months of total chaos, which doesn't make any sense. There must be a plan by someone somewhere, but who knows what it is, and it certainly doesn't benefit everyone. So you can get drawn in, whether you're a Fox News fan or whatever, or you're all in on MSNBC now, MS Now, or whatever else. Maybe you're watching Tucker. Maybe you're watching, I don't even know the right-handed guys. Maybe you're an Asmongold fan. Maybe you think Hasanabi is a monster. Maybe you think he's the next leader of the free world. Who knows? You can get drawn into that stuff like you'll never get out. So I used to watch every once in a while. I'd catch a couple things. I would just let it play. Okay, the Bulwark is kind of interesting because they're all former Republicans that were heavily in the Republican establishment that have changed their mind and everything. Okay, and then I'll catch some stuff on the right, but after a while, you're like, wait a minute, why am I spending my time on this stuff? Nobody cares what I think. Nobody's going to ask me what I think about any of this. So it's just going to happen, and we have to make the best of it until I read the fourth turning is now, so we have to wait until we get out of the crisis winter and we get into the spring and the enlightenment, or what do they call it? It's when things turn around. The millennials will take over. Me in the X generation, we will. Supposedly, we're going to start getting more political roles, government, judiciary, legislative, executive. So there will be more Gen X people. I don't know about that. But yeah, the millennials are going to be in charge of getting the world back on track, whatever happens. So we'll see. I guess if there's Gen Z, it would be, who knows? Who knows what would happen? But apparently, if you do read, it's by, what's his name? Neil Howe? Is it Neil Howe? It's Howe is his last name. The fourth turning is here. Yeah, Neil Howe. Neilhowe. Neil Howe, the fourth turning is here. He and his co-author of the first book called the fourth turning. What was the actual? There's some. No, they don't have they had a first book. So his co-author passed away before he wrote this follow-up. So it was published in 2023. So it brings everything up to date. Has pandemic, has first Trump term, has some other stuff. So very interesting. So there's these cycles, and they are 4 cycles make up a cycle. Very, very fascinating. A lot of terminology, but he looks at the repetition of how generations of people age through different parts of history. And so if war was 2 generations ago, a world war, so the boom, what do they call it? I think they call it the GI. No, that's earlier. I know it's called the Greatest Generation, but there's another name that's kind of goes like baby boomers. The generation that was in the war, and then the baby boomers, and then the Gen X people. So the baby boomers were not alive when the war was around. So they have effects from the war, but they weren't there for it. And in the Korea, Vietnam, there were other wars in there. So there was a time of war. There was the Cold War that lasted for a while. So depending on where you are in the history timeline and then your age in your particular generation, you may have no memory, maybe no social memory, no institutional memory of what it's like to be a nation at war in a global conflict. We might find out again soon. But so the way that impacts different generations, and just it was actually a really fascinating book. So I do recommend it. So yeah, the millennials are going to save us all. So that's good to know. And I think I'm going to wrap it up there. So thanks for listening as always. And I'll try to get back on, even though this particular program is not a scheduled program, so there's not a particular schedule to meet. I think 2 weeks was a nice respite, but not ideal. I think every 3 or 4 days would be better. Probably some shorter episodes, and then just more. And then a couple times a day would be fine too if they were short. So we'll see. That's it. That's all I got for you. Thanks for listening. As always, don't forget to check out all the usual places, and I'm sure you'll hear me through the week. Bye-bye.